President of the Chamber, to welcome Shri Kaur with flowers and then proceed with the session. Thank you, sir.
Srikar, Pavanji, NG, my colleagues in the Santoshi, my colleagues in the committee, members of the chamber, guests and friends. It gives me immense pleasure in welcoming you all to the launch of our new initiative to mark the 125th anniversary of Bharat Chamber, the Bharat Chamber Knowledge Series, because learning is progress. Under this initiative, the Chamber will organize short, compressed masterclasses with leading subject matter experts on a variety of topics which will help members become better entrepreneurs and business leaders, sharpen their skills, and prepare themselves for being future ready to better navigate the emerging business landscape. The initiative is in line with the Chamber's quest to empower members in their quest for growth, support entrepreneurship, and blossom emerging leaders amongst us. I would request Chairman of our core committee and past President Shri Pavan Podarji to formally launch this initiative with an auspicious lighting of the ceremonial lamp and also share a few words and bless this initiative, please. I would request our immediate past President Shri N.G. Khetan to also join, please. Thank you. Oh, wow. This is the logo of the new series.
Yeah. So, if you can just
Thank you.
stand up and... Sir, can we have a photo with it board?
Okay, but just a picture, please.
हाँ, please.
आप आइए इधर। Pavanji, if you could share a few words.
Shri Kar, Shri Pachisia, my colleagues in the committee, members of the chamber, guests and friends. Friends, as Bharat Chamber of Commerce celebrates 125 glorious years of its existence, it is indeed a matter of pride to witness the chamber taking forward a series of new initiatives to mark this historic milestone. The Bharat Chamber Knowledge Series, which has been launched today, is one such initiative aimed at providing our members with timely insights on emerging trends and transformative ideas. There is a saying in English, learning by doing, and the tagline of our initiative is learning is progress. I believe this knowledge series truly embodies that spirit, and I'm sure that our members and industry leaders will benefit greatly from this initiative. The theme of today's session, using Gen AI to transform your business, could not be more relevant. Generative AI is indeed reshaping business processes, customer engagement, and decision-making across the world. And it is important that our members remain well-informed and prepared to harness its potential. In this regard, we are privileged to have with us Shri Sumanto Kaur, Partner Technology Consulting EY, and an expert in this field who has kindly agreed to share his knowledge with us on this subject. Thank you, Shrikar, for addressing us today. I would also like to thank Harish, who is also a master in his field, for his guidance and support in making this initiative possible. I wish this initiative good luck in all its future endeavors. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pavanji. Friends, the topic of our maiden masterclass under the Bharat Chamber Knowledge Series, using Gen AI to transform your business, has been very thoughtfully chosen. To underscore its importance, let us play a 2-minute video of globally renowned technology expert and venture capitalist Shri Vinod Khosla on his bold prediction of the impact of AI on our businesses. Can we have the video on, please? No.
I've never seen a cycle like this. Almost every job is being reinvented. Every material thing is being reinvented differently with AI as a driver. Almost certainly within the next 5 years, any economically valuable job humans can do, AI will be able to do 80% of it. With a few exceptions like heart surgery, or brain surgery, but by and large, 80% of all jobs can be done by an AI. And if that's happening in the next 5 years, the world is going to be a very different place. So I see this sort of like invention happening at a frenetic pace that is so large compared to even the dot-com phase when the internet first came and there was Netscape and TCP/IP and all that. So my view, the next 5 years to 2030 will look like productivity improvements. And then if I look to the 15 years hence, 2040 and beyond, we're going to be in an era of abundance that's so large, it's very hard for people to imagine. The simplest way to say it is the need to work will go away.
Yeah.
People will work on things because they want to work on things, not because they need to work on things to pay their mortgage. Somewhere starting in 2030, the changes are going to be so disruptive that it's hard to imagine how it sorts out. And it'll sort out differently by country, by region. Different governments will play different roles in allowing it to happen or not allowing it to happen. And so we'll see this very, very disruptive, almost dystopic type of AI is taking all the jobs kind of thing. But we will have enough productivity, enough goods and services produced to share broadly. One of my predictions is the 2030s will see a faster rate of demise of Fortune 500 companies than we've ever seen. It's actually pretty high anyway, but we'll see a rate accelerate dramatically.
So this was Vinod Khosla, 1st of July 2025. Please fix the laptop once again so that there is no delay. Ladies and gentlemen, the year 2025 marked 3 decades of the arrival of internet in India. Old-timers present here may recall how was work and life before the arrival of internet, and how has it changed in these 30 years. Over these 3 decades, India has established itself as a global force in the digital economy. The internet era enabled the rise of a completely new industry, today with a market value of more than $500 billion, spanning IT services, BPOs, and global capability centers. By leveraging a vast English-speaking talent pool, India became the operational backbone of global enterprises, which has helped it become the world's fastest rising large economy. Today, artificial intelligence represents the next great technological shift. Yet, instead of optimism, much of the commentary is laced with apprehension. The AI revolution is not bypassing India. It is waiting for India to step into the driver's seat. The next 1 trillion US dollar opportunity is not in the future for us. It is here, now. And this time, India does not just have to follow the script, it has a chance to write it. And so do we. Each one of us has an opportunity to transform our businesses using AI and and do have a real opportunity to create new businesses. This is the reason for today's topic, using Gen AI to transform your business. And without much ado, I would now hand over to our expert guest speaker, Shri Sumantokar, to take us into the world of generative AI over the next 90 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Nareshji, for this, opportunity. Uh, it's a privilege to be able to, talk on this subject. Uh, so, let me start by taking you to maybe couple of years back. So, we all have been consumed by Google, the mighty power of internet, everything digital. Businesses are getting conducted digitally, customer acquisition happening digitally. The whole e-commerce phenomena is on the boom. People are no longer, going to brick and mortar stores. They are sourcing everything online. So it was a kind of an era. Then come one particular tool called ChatGPT in the market, right? And somehow it took the entire world by storm by becoming the fastest growing app with 100 million download in record first month itself, right? Now, what was there that caught everybody's attention? That's the question. Because anything before ChatGPT, if we wanted to have an answer, we could simply go to Google. We could ask that question. We could get some sort of an answer. But here it was a difference. The difference was that this is the first time there is some tool or some capability that came that while interacting with the tool, it felt like I'm talking to another person. It was not like I'm talking to a algorithm or I'm going into an application or doing something. It was more like there is an invisible person at the other side and I can ask that person anything and that person is going to reply me in my own language following my own sentiment, right? So there was a human touch to the responses that ChatGPT started giving. And this was the intrigue part that actually took, the world by storm, and everybody got hooked into it. Now, fast forward 2 years hence, and we are now sitting in 2025. ChatGPT has gone through 4 rounds of iteration, right? Now it can not only give you answer, it can do the search for you, it can do the research for you, it can talk to you in a voice, it can perform task for you, and it can even start think. No, everything that you ask it to do, it can think and then give you a reply, which is more refined, right? So that's the pace of innovation that is happening in the market. But does that mean that ChatGPT itself is going to, transform your business? No, the answer is no, right? So in today's session, what we are, going to talk about is essentially a bit of fundamentals around this technology itself. And then what we are also going to talk about that how this technology can actually be applied for your business, for the data that you own, and you don't want the entire world to have access to that because that data is private to you. That data has been built over years of business knowledge, over years of institutional knowledge, right? Which definitely need not to go to the outside world. But here is a tool in the outside world which can do a lot of things like a human. How I can bring that capability to my own data, to my own knowledge base, and transform the way I do work. So world over, many organizations are already on this path. So we will take a some peek into some of the very interesting use cases what others are doing, and we will also talk about some more examples of the specific business areas where this technology can actually be a useful tool for you. Okay, so before I go into any further detail, a bit of technical detail around what is this whole GenAI as a phenomena, and along with the GenAI, nowadays if you follow the latest technology trend, there is another terminology which is very fast catching, which is called agentic AI, and there is a bit subtle difference between it and lot of commonality between it. So we will talk a bit more about that. So first of all this chat GPT, generative AI, whatever we talk about, these are all a branch of artificial intelligence. And trust me, artificial intelligence is not new. It is there since 70s, right? So the actual research around artificial intelligence, the majority of the work has actually happened before 1984 itself, right? It is only in the last 1 decade or so the practical usage of those theoretical researches have come into existence through information technology tools, which we popularly know as artificial intelligence. But all of these are essentially a subset of artificial intelligence. Now, what is essentially artificial intelligence? Artificial intelligence is nothing but we as a human, we uh, we all have certain skills within us, right? Some people might be good in mathematics, some person might be good in logic, some person might be good in analysis. So every person has a different kind of a skill set which they are good at. Now artificial intelligence is essentially an algorithm or a program which is taught a particular skill, and by way of the training, that particular algorithm has now become perfect in it. That's what artificial intelligence is all about. It's like I have a child. Throughout the educational life cycle, the child learns many books, many topics, many subjects, and then out of that, it becomes perfect in certain knowledge areas, right? Same is with artificial intelligence. It needs to go through a lot of training, lot of knowledge iteration before it can become perfect in one particular area. Now, within the artificial intelligence, historically there has been many branches. So one of the branch which is also very popularly known as machine learning. Now, as the name suggests, it is a mechanism by which you can make a machine learn a repetitive task, right? Now, what exactly is this machine learning? Is you know uh, many of you might be familiar with statistical models, right? Where you can crunch numbers and create statistical pattern out of it, or do a statistical analysis out of it. Now, this statistical analysis capability, if I codify it and put it into an algorithmic program, that becomes machine learning, right? So it doesn't learn all by itself. It is essentially a mathematical formula coded into a programmatic language. That's what is machine learning. This was one of the earlier form of artificial intelligence. Then came deep learning. What is deep learning? This is another wonderful branch of algorithm where the algorithm can be given a set of data and it can learn pattern and recognize different analytical ability within that data all by itself. That means it is an algorithm which is capable of learning by itself. All you need to do is provide it data and it can learn that data and start predict outcomes. That was what deep learning. Now, typically deep learning has been applied on small set of data. Example, you want to do a forecasting of demand. You will use a deep learning model where you might train it over historical demand pattern, and basis that it will be able to predict the future demand for you. Or if you want to do certain, say, fraud analysis in your financial transaction, so you can take a deep learning model, you can feed it with a lot of historical fraudulent scenarios which have come through that data. It will learn how to detect fraud, and then if you give it a new set of data, it should be able to analyze and tell you if there is any fraudulent transaction in that. That was deep learning. Then came generative AI. Now, what is generative AI? Generative AI essentially is a deep learning model, but this model has been trained on a very, very vast set of data. So just to give you some figures, today's generative AI models are essentially trained on billions of parameters. Okay, so it is like whatever has been produced in internet as a data over, say, last 15 years, if I take everything and put it into a deep learning model, I get a generative AI model. So essentially, a generative AI model has all the internet data sources which are acquirable, everything put into the generative AI. That's the reason when the earlier form of ChatGPT came, if you relate back, it used to say that I have knowledge only up to certain date. Like the first version said I have knowledge only up to 2021. Then the second version said up to 2022. Now the latest iteration GPT-5, if you go and ask it, it will say I will have knowledge up to 2024. But still there is a cutoff. That means 2024 is the cutoff. If you ask it something about what has happened yesterday, it will not be able to answer. But there are other mechanisms. Now you have the web search also integrated with it, which can do all of that. We will go into some detail about it. But generative AI or the ChatGPT was largely confined into a knowledge interaction. It is like you ask it a question, it will give you an answer, right? But the next iteration of this generative AI is agentic AI. Now, what is agentic AI? And the video we just saw at the beginning of this session, which is talking about generative AI, transforming a lot of things, taking away a lot of jobs. It is not exactly the generative AI, but it is that agentic AI which is going to do that. Now, what is the basic differences? See, as a human, we all have sensory capabilities like we can see, we can hear, we have a brain by which we can think, and then we have hands and legs through which we can act. Generative AI essentially can do all the sensory part. It can see, it can hear, it can think, but it was not able to act. Now with agentic AI, the ability to act is added to this thinking capability. So it is almost like a human clone where it not only can think, take decision, analyze, but basis the decision, it can also go ahead and act. That's what essentially agentic AI is, which we are going to hear a lot as we move forward. So what is agentic AI? It is autonomous as well as generative. So generative, it was already previously. The GPT stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer. So it was generating already, but now along with the generation, it can be autonomous. That means it can think, it can find out its own errors, it can correct itself, and we can move ahead. So that essentially, in a bottom line, the models are becoming more human-like as every day progressing. So that's the net takeaway from this, that today an artificial intelligence model or a large language model or a generative AI model, whichever way you call it, their skills capability are becoming almost at par with human for certain tasks. Of course, there will be specialized tasks which is still far from the reach of these models, but there are a lot of repetitive tasks or generalized tasks which today models probably can do better than human, like comprehending certain content, right? As a human, if I'm given 1,000-page book and I have to and somebody asks me that you go through this book and write a 2-page summary, it probably will take me 1 month first to read it and then to understand the content and then create a generative summary of that or generating a summary of that. Today the model can do that probably in few seconds. So that's the kind of productivity gain that is going to happen. So as a human, does that mean that I will not do that? No. So we as a human, if we want to use this technology to our advantage, then what we should be doing is that this reading and making a summary out of it, we should leave it to the tech. But with that summary, what I want to apply in my work or my transaction, that is something I should be doing. So humans are going to more focus on value added activity, whereas the mundane task will be left to the technology to take care of, right? That's the world we are heading into essentially. There are a lot of news you might be seeing in many publications, many news portal, etc., where some people might call it a doomsday for models. Some will say that these are going to fail. Some will say these are going to do change the humanity. Some will say this is going to transform everything. So what exactly it is? It is underhyped, overhyped. We as a practitioner of AI, where we are seeing AI as from very close quarter and on to our day-to-day businesses, and we work back with various businesses in terms of how these technologies can transform their businesses. What we can say with certainty is that this is definitely underhyped, because today the kind of capability that we are seeing, that is only the tip of the iceberg. In the days to come, these capabilities are only going to grow exponentially, and it will be left to the newer generation that are coming into the workforce for them to catch up with this technology, or else they will be at a direct competition with technology. So that's the kind of loggerhead that we feel in another 5-10 years, humanity versus technology will come to. That's a good thing, by the way. That's not a bad thing, because that will free us human from a lot of time consuming mundane work, and we can actually focus on something that really matters. Yeah, we will talk about that as we move. One quick reminder that when we talk about this AI and generative AI, this is not only about the input output of a user query and a text, and it is not only about text. There are many forms of AI that are available. So if you look at the right side of this, today AI is applicable for all of this. AI is applicable for any kind of textual work through language models, but it can also do a lot of other things. It can do image generation, video generation, code generation, voice generation. So anything that we as a human produce as an output of our work, almost everything today models can do. So example, today a graphic designer spends hours in creating a particular graphic for marketing material, right? Today we have AI models where you can simply give it 2 sentences by saying that I want this kind of graphic with this kind of background and this kind of color composition. In probably 30 seconds, it will generate a better image than many of the graphic designer would generate over 7 or 10 days. So that's the kind of capability today AI has. when we talk about generative AI as a larger capability. Just moving on, this is a very interesting diagram, and my request would be, uh, you know, please look at this diagram, because this diagram very beautifully says that how machine learning, artificial intelligence, generative AI, all of these typical tech jargons, what are they, and how this essentially come together to become the human like agents of the future, right? So today, all the capability or the individual capability of artificial intelligence and machine learning that you have, generative AI almost possesses everything of it, right? It has neural network understanding, it has language understanding, it has contextual understanding, it has data understanding. It also has the machine learning capabilities in terms of learning new trends, getting reinforced, learned on a continuous basis. So all of these capabilities are there. But agentic AI, why it is more powerful is that agentic AI is autonomous and it can call any of these capabilities as and when it demands. That not necessarily mean that agentic AI is static. It is a fluid kind of a it's a fluid kind of a capability where the same model or the same agent can do task A. If it is required to do task A first, it will do. But at the same time, in the very same instance, if it goes to task A to task B, it can do on its own without any human interference. That means today an agent, you can give it a goal. You can say that in my supply chain, I have XYZ inventory and I have XYZ demand. Can you do an analysis and tell me that where my products I should focus from a distribution network? It's a very simple statement. But if you actually want to do an analysis, there are a lot of analysis that has to be done. There has to be a demographic analysis of the demand needs to be done. Your distribution channels penetration need to be analyzed against that that demand pattern or the demand demography. A model will be able to do all of these sequentially and combine all of these analysis and will be able to give you an end result by saying for this inventory and for this demand pattern, this is how your distribution network should operate. So this is the ability of agentic AI, where it can summon skills as and when needed in an autonomous fashion. And this is a very, very powerful capability. Uh, Again, AI has been there. For the last 2 years, we all have been talking about generative AI because ChatGPT essentially, kind of made it a household name. That generative AI is the thing to consider. But since 2025, early 2025, now the whole focus is moving towards agentic AI, which is autonomous and action oriented and goal oriented. It is not only about an interaction, but it is actually performing tasks, actually doing work, getting things done in an autonomous fashion. That's where the real focus is going to be. Okay. So this is another very interesting diagram. If you look at it, this essentially tells that when we say a agent, multi-agent framework or a agentic AI or a generative AI agent, all of these are kind of name of the same thing. But what essentially it has, if you actually look at it, it just like human, it has few things. It has a memory. We as a human, we have memory of the work that we do or certain contextual memory of our business, of our work that we retain. The agent has a memory. That means it remembers what has happened in the past. And the memory can be short term, can be long term, can be persisted, for eternity. So any kind of memory can be there. It has a knowledge base, right? So, for an example, an accountant has the knowledge base of accounting procedures and various guidelines around accountings. That's how an accountant can do for every transaction where the debit will go, where the credit will go, because there is a knowledge base which has been acquired over time. The agents have a knowledge base. That means you can take an agent, if you want to make it perform like a chartered accountant, all you need to do is infuse maybe all the CA course book. If you feed it to an agent, it will become a perfect chartered accountant for you. So it has memory, it has knowledge, it also has access to data. See, we all as a human being in our day-to-day work or in business, what we do, we essentially move data. We look at data, we interpret data, and basis that we take an action, which generates another kind of a data. So we all do data work, right? Every decision is essentially analysis of certain data and then producing certain new kind of data. That's what a transaction or a business transaction or action is. It has a data capability. That means it can interpret data, it can generate data, it can move data around. That's how the agents are becoming more human-like. On top of that, it has also analysis capability and it has action capability. So what is left? The only thing, if you look at it, the agents currently, one thing that they do not have is human emotion. But barring that, almost all human skills, unless and until very, very specialized skill, as it was talked about, like a heart surgeon or a brain surgeon, which are very, very specialized skill, which maybe in next 10 years, it will also become possible for AI, we don't know. But as of today, what we have, apart from the emotional quotient or empathy, AI has almost all abilities of what a human can do. And that's what the powerful weapon for today's businesses. If they can harness this power, this literally has the ability to change the way the business is performed and essentially transform the business, right? Which we are going to look at. Okay. So we will just skip, we will go a bit of technicality, and I promise post this, I will come back to actual industrial use cases. But why we need to go through a bit of it? Because as the topic is of a masterclass topic, understanding a bits of nuts and bolt of what does this whole AI and agentic AI means is little bit of important. So if you carefully look at this diagram, at the center of it is the AI agents, right? And what these agents does, it does planning, execution, self-improvement, performance, use of tool, just like an employee in an organization. In an organization, every employee has their designated task, which they plan, they execute. To do that, they might use certain tools. Maybe a chartered accountant will use Excel as a tool. Somebody might use a PowerPoint as a tool. Almost everybody uses, Outlook or email as a tool. So these agents also has access to these tools and it can act just like a human. So that's the centerpiece of it. But on top, left and right is where the magic happens. So if you look at the left layer, we as a human being, we are multimodal. We have sensory capability, which I was talking earlier. We can see, we can hear, we can touch and feel, or we can write, we can read, all of that. So the left side is the input layer. So today's agents can take input either through a vision, which is represented by the camera, through a text, which can be a written or a typed text. It can also hear because it can interpret an audio file or a audio data. It also has sensory capability. So today I can have lot of human touch sensor or many other pressure sensor. Like if some of you, if you are in the manufacturing side of the world, so today's machines comes with a lot of sensor, right? Around temperature, around performance, like even your cars will have a RPM, which is nothing but a sensor. Today's agents can read all of the data and can make a meaning out of it. So that means all the human input capability that exists today, almost everything can also be used as an input to this autonomous AI models or the autonomous AI agents. That's the technological improvement that has happened. And then uh, the agents are also capable of interacting with various data layer, right? So we as a human being, if we get a piece of paper, the layout of that piece of paper doesn't matter to us. We can still read it and understand whether it is a purchase order or an invoice, or it is an bill or it is a voucher. Do somebody need to tell me, even if it is not written as a voucher in bold on top of that piece of paper, if we are dealing with that piece of paper on a day-to-day basis, by look at it, we can say, okay, this is a voucher, or this is an invoice, or this is a purchase order. That capability today exists with these models. So because of its ability to understand data, both structured and unstructured, you can today give it a piece of paper or an image and it can tell you that this is an invoice. Not only that, it can also tell this invoice is from this vendor, this is the bill to location, this is the ship to location, this is the tax amount. It can figure out everything. You don't need to teach it anything. That's the advancement in powerful capability that has happened, right? And then combining all the inputs and all the capabilities, what it can do today, that it can actually do the task for you. Some real life example, it will help you relate better. We all are familiar with call centers, right? Previously, all our banks and various telecom companies, everybody used to have call centers, right? Where you call, you wait, then somebody will come online, they will hear you out. Either they will solve or they will say that I'm sending it to my supervisor. Then you go and again explain everything, right? It used to be a frustrating experience. And if you look the other side of it, for the organization, it used to be a huge cost because they have to maintain all those employees or human agents across the shift to cater to the consumer base. Today, you will be surprised that most of these call center agents are not human. They're essentially these AI models which we are doing this. When you talk to them, you will not be able to realize that I'm talking to a machine. They are so good in the human-like abilities, but half of it, at least today, it's all machine. The machine is reading your email. The machine is reading to your WhatsApp. So many of the businesses today, you interact on WhatsApp. The response that is coming from the other side, it's not from a human. It is actually coming from a machine. It is coming from an AI agent, which is giving you that response. Your phone calls are answered by agents. So 2-3 years back, the outbound calls used to be robotic calling, where you used to get a call and it used to start talking about that I have these schemes or this or you do this. So those were recorded messages. But today the reverse has happened. When you call, the call is actually received by an automated algorithm. And the algorithm hears you, understands your intent, then your data, it goes and search from the enterprise databases. Like suppose you were calling for a telecom company, then it will go and it will look up as per your number, it will go and look up your call history, or if you have previously called them for any interaction, understand that, and basis that it will start interacting with you, that oh yes, you called 3 days back but the problem is not resolved, I will escalate this so that it get resolved soon. So this kind of contextual memory and the contextual response capability is allowing half of this work is now outsourced to AI agent, if I may call. Previously the agent was outsourced, but now it is the AI agent to whom these works are getting outsourced to. But just imagine what kind of benefit an organization can derive out of it. These AI agents, they will not come late to work, and they will not take a leave. They will hardly have a bad health day with, headache, and they will be always there 24 bar 7, right? So just think of it. It's a very powerful tool, actually. If you want to use it in the right place, it can be a big money saver for any business, small, medium, large, doesn't matter. Every business has its own places where these kind of capabilities can be applied, and it can drive a lot of benefit, for those businesses. I will just move on. I will just, for the interest of time, I will just move on, and we will go into some of the industry benchmark and data which might interest you. So typically in a business function, if you look at it, most of the businesses will have these business functions within it. The talent, or HR as we traditionally call it, the information technology or the IT. It will have a finance function, it will have a compliance or legal, marketing, sales, procurement. So these are all typical business functions, right? Now, through the market research and with various of such technologies getting applied to various businesses, this is the kind of potential benchmark that is currently available for businesses to benefit out of it. So just as an example, say in the HR function, what we have seen is that 70 to 80% recruitment cost can be saved by using this kind of AI capability, right? In finance, in your financial planning and accounting entry, so old days are anyway gone, where accountants used to write ledgers in physical books, and at the end of the book, in the next page, the carry forward balance will be written, and then from there the next set of transactions will be written down. So those era is anyway gone when ERP came into picture. But still ERP requires human to put in which account to put the voucher, journal voucher, which account to debit, which account to credit, all of that. But today, if we allow say a machine trained or a AI accountant to do that work, to do your financial planning and accounting work, there could be a potentially a 70% time and cost savings that can be achieved, right? Compliance and legal, almost 40 to 50%. And I just cannot name one of the largest conglomerate in India today have applied a generative AI capability for their legal function, where all 400 of the legal professionals, they use that. So previously, if suppose a litigation comes, they have to go through thousands of pages of case noting, previous case repository, legal references, through all of that. Today, that entire knowledge base is subsumed into one simple chatbot, where it is just a matter for the legal counsel to ask it a question. It will tell which Supreme Court ruling has given that similar kind of a ruling, what is the year, what is the reference. It will also bring out that paper and present it in front of you, all maybe in few seconds. So just imagine how transformative that is for that that company, where all 400 of their litigation professionals, they are now hooked onto this AI. And for every meeting, suppose there is a particular case where 3 of the lawyers wants to discuss something related to the case. Now, how they have utilized it, it is not ever the 3 lawyer talking. The 4th lawyer, which is this virtual assistant, it's always present. It is listening to the meetings, it is giving its opinion, it is helping them to retrieve previous case histories, litigation diaries, case notings, just on the flash of telling. Just like you and I are talking, they can talk, it will get the job done. That powerful it is. Similarly, at the area of procurement, right? For any businesses, procurement is a big area where a lot of cost leakage can be plugged, right? Because it is not only doing a procurement contract, but enforcing that procurement contract. There can be a lot of loopholes, lot of SLA breach, lot of quality breach, which can be a loss for any company. Now, today, that entire work in terms of how the scope of work should be tightly written, to how the vendor performance should be analyzed, or even if you are, say, floating a competitive bid and five vendors have bid for that, you don't need somebody to sit and do that analysis of the bid. You can simply take that bid, give it to an AI model. It can analyze that bid, create a performance comparison between the bidders, and it can present to you. Of course, you can look at it and take a final decision, because that is also necessary. You need somebody to catch hold on if anything goes wrong. But it is possible today, and you can just look at the number. There are organizations who are deriving more than 90% operational efficiency just in the procurement area alone, which is the contract lifecycle management, only in this particular area, by using the generative AI and agentic AI to its full potential. So that's the kind of power that these solutions today bring. Okay, but is it all hunky dory? There is no problem? No. So every brighter side also comes with its own set of challenges. So we should at least know that, because doing something is good, but when it comes to business transformation, doing something with a measurable impact is always necessary. So what are the kind of challenges in adopting this kind of technology? So one of the challenges is that these AI kind of solutions, these are at times, for some of the solutions, can be little investment heavy. That means you need to invest a little more than what you would have done traditionally with human or the traditional technologies than with AI. AI may demand a little more investment upfront. So for many of the organization, getting the right ROI metrics out of it at times can be challenging. But at the same time, we as a consultant, we typically advises businesses that to counter this kind of a problem, every AI initiative need to spend significant amount of time in the planning phase. You need to first go through the truth metrics, do a proper ROI analysis, and then organizations should start investing into AI to get the right kind of benefit. Plus, uh, there is another problem, is the technology is changing so fast. Getting skilled people to utilize the technology is a challenge, right? So industries are facing challenge in terms of getting skilled workforce specifically to utilize AI. So having a right strategy for organization skilling, rather upskilling, and finding the right talent, it's a challenge in current stage. Maybe couple of years down the line or 5 years down the line, the availability of such skilled resources will be much higher, but today it is little less. So that's the reason, if any organization wants to get the right benefit from AI, they need to have a very critical focus in terms of how they prepare their workforce to adopt this change. Because you can ask your workforce to do whatever, but if the workforce doesn't adopt it, you as a business will never get the benefit out of it. So it's a two-way street. So to get the benefit of AI, having a right learning and upskilling strategy for the workforce is very, very necessary. And there is one of the major challenges, availability of the data. See, traditionally also most businesses, the one of the major struggle is getting access to the right data, clean data, and whenever it is needed, availability of the data in the right time. It is always a challenge. And AI, just like any other IT or algorithm, it's like if you put garbage in, it will churn out garbage, right? So the best of the AIs can only function if you make it available with the right set of data, clean data, qualified data. So if any organization wants to venture into the AI initiatives or want to apply AI for the real benefit within their business, one of the precursor of that has to be that there has to be a data preparedness, right? Clean your data, make your data error free, duplicate free, make the data accessible, machine readable, because once that is available, then application of AI becomes much more easier, and the output that you can generate is even better, right? But having the wrong data often spells the doom for many AI initiatives, because we have seen many AI initiatives doesn't live up to its potential just because the focus on getting the right data was not there. So our request is that anytime you want to go for AI initiatives, please see your data readiness, because that is one of the key pillar of success if you want to utilize it. Moving on, this is some of the prediction that I want to talk about, which is what we are seeing in the global arena. Is see, today the AI spending across the business landscape, both in India and globally, is surging, right? And as the figures suggest, we expect to see an AI spending close to about 632 billion by 2028, right? So essentially, it is no longer for the businesses, it is no longer is the matter of when, it's the matter of now. So everybody is doing it. If one business decide not to go this path, then they are essentially missing out on the race um, for the uh, for the whole competitiveness, right? So if one has to stay competitive, one has to stay profitable, this is one area where investments are going to be a must, right? uh, Specifically within this, we see financial sector, like many other technologies, they are also spearheading this. So at least 20% of the global AI spending we expect to see in the domain of financial services. So specifically financial services organization, this is the de facto way forward. Without it, probably the next decade is there will be no growth if one doesn't venture into it, right? And of course, America tops the spending, but I must say that over the past couple of years, the Indian business scenario is warming up to this, and the spending is increasing, right? uh, though there is a lot of scope for improvement in terms of more spending to come in, but at least the large businesses have significantly started investing into it, right? And if one has to stay competitive and even compete with large businesses, specifically for small and medium businesses, if I may say, that this is can be a wonderful weapon for them to create that level playing field, right? Because today, kids with 5 kids sitting out of a garage, they are creating technologies and solutions using AI, which is competing in the global arena with trillion-dollar companies. That's the kind of level playing field AI can bring to uh, businesses for them to really upscale and compete with the larger players in the market. So it is just about how openly you can embrace this technology, that will kind of churn out the future of the respective businesses going ahead. Okay. Just on the paucity of time, I'll just yeah, I'll just go. So before we will go into little bit interactive, because before I go further and discuss about various other potential use cases, I would like to also hear from all of you in terms of some of the challenges that you today feel is is there in your respective businesses or your respective domains, and then we can discuss whether some of that actually can be solved using AI, or what potential technology of AI that can solve that. But yeah, I will have to. So before we go into that, just to show you some of the very big uh, examples of how this whole generative AI and agentic AI has truly transformed. So Tapestry is a world-renowned organization in the retail space. They use uh, agentic AI for the entire enterprise workflow. So all the enterprise work that happens within their organization is today AI enabled. Just an example. I'll show you few more example, then I will come to the question. Tesco, which is again a retail and a supply chain major, they use the autonomous sourcing for procurement. So there is no vendor negotiation. There is no bid invitation. It is the AI agent which goes into supplier databases, looks at their performance, looks at their capability, automatically decide which customers to have how much share of businesses. Basis that it creates the order, and it even goes ahead and start negotiating with the customer. So it is a complete autonomous sourcing. So one of the example, Tesco, they have already achieved it. Walmart, very renowned name, they do their entire inventory management and inventory optimization through using generative AI and agentic AI. Nvidia, right? They are essentially a chip manufacturer, but they use the AI for their own purpose, which their AI now turns out for other businesses how AI solution to be created. So the blueprinting is done by AI for Nvidia, which by itself is a chip company, chip design company. So it is not that the inventor of the technologies don't use the technology by themselves. They also use the technology for their own benefit, right? So definitely the rest of the businesses also need to do. So this is Google, which has recently come out with a enterprise platform, and this is for all businesses to consume, right? OpenAI has launched Operator. I don't know if any one of you seen the video. So Operator is an agent. So it is a kind of a specialized agent which they have come out with, which can do the entire web browsing and navigation all by itself. So it is like you can ask it, please book a ticket for me to Calcutta to Delhi for tomorrow evening. So the agent then it can go to a travel portal website. It can take your information, convert it into a particular date, time, and option. It will do the search. From the search, it will pick out the option which closely matches your requirement. Then it will go ahead, click on the book button. Then if you have already given it your card or financial account information, it will complete the payment in the same browser. And once the ticket is obtained, it will send you the electronic ticket copy over mail by saying, you asked me for a ticket, here is the ticket.
Except OTP, perhaps everything will be taken care of.
Exactly. So that is the kind of capability that today exists. Okay, so we will go into far more use cases, but before that, um, one of the very pertinent question that we wanted to understand is that in your respective organization or your respective area, what is the kind of repetitive task that today you see is a major cost drainer, or time consuming, and it probably doesn't have the kind of benefit that it should have, and you can think of kind of changing it using a technology. you know Anybody to?
Nikesh, you wanted to speak about fragrances, right? So, for example, a lot of
I have like
yes,
I'm in the textile business.
Yeah.
Example, we have to make designs every year. We make about 200 designs,
Yeah.
50 designs.
Yeah.
We appoint designers currently.
Correct.
So now if we start using AI to create designs, the only fear is that they may all start looking very similar or may be very repetitive.
Yeah. Very good area. Um, so um, this is one, but so his question was that in the textile business, he employs a lot of designers who does the design work of it, right? And the fear is that if AI is employed to do those kind of design, whether it will be repetitive or not, right? So, the reality is that uh, design is kind of an aspects which of course depends on human creativity, but human creativity also learns from a previous pattern, right? Like say for an example, in textile design, if you are say, I'm taking an example of sari, right? So the Jamdani saris will have a particular design pattern. Banarasi saris will have another design pattern, right? So it is all about evolution of that pattern with newer aspects with the human imagination. This work AI will probably do better than human. Why? Because you can actually go wild. So today, if you have 5 designer who does individual designs, tomorrow probably what you will need is, instead of 5, one designer, but who is not maybe expert in doing the design by hand, but the person who is expert in instructing an AI model what to design. So that means somebody who can translate their imagination into plain simple words, that person will then become your de facto designer, and that one person using AI will be produce 10 times more work or more output than today maybe 5 designer combined together. So that is the kind of benefit that in the design area is there. And just to tell you, you are talking about the textile design. Already, many of the marketing agencies and design agencies, they are employing AI to do this. Yes, many of them.
Question here, context of design. If there are 2 or 3 agents and the same question is asked to each of these agents, then they would probably come out with the same design.
Yes,